Hi, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. My name is Jennifer, and this is the first ever episode of our brand new podcast. We are so excited to be sharing this with you on the air, and we hope to be doing this for a long time. The podcast, welcome to the episode called My Sister is a Karen. And this is my sister, Karen.
Hello, everyone. So we have been talking about this, and basically, we've decided to sum it up. This is all the conversations that happen after you see a woman say, I need to go call my sister right now. And we've just decided to share all this hilarity with the world. Um,
We've both spent our entire lives saying, I gotta go call my sister. And a lot of times, what follows is really funny, but sometimes also it's not. Sometimes it's real.
yeah.
And yeah, but either way, it was just, we just
Sometimes
felt
it's
like,
texting my sister in the car next to me while my dad is saying, stop talking back there.
exactly.
All those in between moments in life.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
So we've been kind of kicking this around for about 6 weeks. And we've just decided we're done kicking it around. It was Jen's idea. She pitched it to me. I'll let you kind of tell how it started in your head.
Well, it started because there's an ongoing conversation between us and among our friends as well, our female friends who are in our age bracket. There's an ongoing conversation about perimenopause, postmenopause, like what's happening. Did you know that like weight gain is a part of menopause and there's like a physiological reason to it? Like there's this ongoing conversation. The interesting thing about it is it seems like it's only a conversation that's been happening for maybe like 4 or 5 years. At least that's when I became aware of it.
Yeah.
And
I don't
yeah,
think anyone really talked about it before our generation. Like everyone else just kind of
yeah,
put up with it silently. And we are kind
the
of like,
pain.
yeah, we're
Yeah,
very much like, what the fuck is this?
exactly. Exactly. So we've spent a lot of time like talking about like my eyelashes are all falling out. Like is that like being old? Like what is that? Is that old? Is that like menopause? Like what is that? I don't know what that is. We've talked a lot about like just these weird things that have happened to us. And it's interesting because there's obviously a societal conversation happening about perimenopause and postmenopause.
All the
It's an
weird things.
important,
I
yeah,
Jennifer
it's
is
an
an
important,
audiologist, so I ask her, why are my ears itching? And she's like, because you're just disgusting. And it's not actually. I do have a lot of earwax that's gross, but that's not why. It's because the hormones change the consistency and my ear's not used to it. No one told me that. No one told me that like 5 times a day I was going to look like an idiot that's like digging in my ear.
but as an audiologist, I have never come across that either. Like I didn't know that that was a thing for menopausal women. So again, like we just there are so many things about this phase of life that we just didn't know. And there's a really important movement happening right now. Many things for women that we are speaking up about and no longer being silent about. And I am a fierce fan of this movement, and
Yes.
including the conversation about menopause. And we've had so many private conversations about it. I don't think we have anything new to share. Karen and I we don't know special things about menopause. We do not live in a world where we have access to really good information about it, but we wanted to be a part of the continued conversation. And this is our version of that. I mean,
Yeah.
I
We want to, I mean, maybe you're going to learn something new. Like maybe you didn't know that ears was, but I mean, in fairness, neither of us is an expert. We're learning this as we go, as we experience it. As my TikTok tells me that my ears are itchy because I'm in perimenopause. Um,
exactly.
you know,
And the
um,
interesting thing
but no
is,
one talked about it before. And it's
no,
such a weird thing. Like we can't even. why is it so awful? Why can I not say the word menopause in front of any adult male? And they're like,
Right.
ooh, I didn't say fallopian tube, dude. Like,
Yeah. And it's interesting too because we come from a lot there are a lot of women in our family. In our family, the females way outweigh the men.
yes.
And it's because I've never heard my mom and her sisters talk about menopause. Certainly not our grandmothers who we knew very much adults. We never. So the fact that the conversation even exists is fun for us, to be going through this in this moment of time when the conversation is more acceptable and when women are screaming like we should be discussing this and we should be researching it and learning about it and teaching each other. So I mean, I was like, menopause was, I mean, until like 4 years ago, I literally thought menopause was like you got some hot flashes for a couple of years, then your period stopped, and now
Yeah.
you can't reproduce.
Yeah.
I had no idea that there was like sleeplessness, itchy ears, brain fog, weight gain, I eyelash loss. Like I
In
had no
in
idea.
nursing school, I did learn that there's a lack of libido and like some and I was like, okay, who wants to have sex when I'm 55 anyway? So I mean, but
Well,
in
turns
nursing
out,
school, what I learned was
you
hot
might want to
flashes.
be. But you didn't know that when you were young and in nursing school.
Right. And like what we learned in nursing school was hot flashes. I mean, I was like, I don't know why people dread it. Like some hot flash, I'm sweaty all the time anyways. Bring it on. I don't want a period anymore. Like,
I thought so too. I was like, oh, like like getting rid of periods? That's the bane of my existence as a female. I would love to not have periods anymore. And unlike most females, mine have always been extremely unpredictable. I might get a period at 3 weeks after the last one, or it might be 6 months. I'm not pregnant. I just didn't get a period. I've always been that way. So for me, the unpredictability was problematic. Um, I thought the idea of never having a period again sounded like phenomenal. I was like
yeah.
you, and I'm always cold, so I've always run cold. So I was like, and I won't be cold all the time. Like what is so
Yeah.
bad about this? I don't. Yeah, we had no idea. And honestly, I thought you stopped getting periods in your early 40s. Plot twist, that's not true.
I totally thought that. I remember on my 40th birthday talking to mom and being like, so when do the periods stop? Like, because they're still pretty regular. She's like, she's like, I don't know. I was like 52 when I had a hysterectomy.
Oh my
But I
god.
was like, I
Yeah.
mean, they're not even slowing down. Like, what's going on? And
No.
also, that was what I did. I went to my mom. It didn't occur to me
Right.
to, like, I don't know, look up something medical. Um,
Or ask the OBGYN.
yeah, exactly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, what are some signs and symptoms I should look for?
Right. Right. It's been interesting too because like in kind of creating this podcast idea and like making outlines for episodes and like what do we want our brand to look like and stuff like that. One of the things that we learned is we don't want to only talk about menopause. Like that is something that is happening to us. It's real. Perimenopause is totally real. I didn't even know I was going through it all those years that I was because it turns out it's 5 to 10 years that you go through it. I didn't know, but what we
Wait,
figured
not
out
just
was
that. I remember when I was like 35, 36, and I had someone that said to me, like one of my bosses who was a nurse, said, like, well, I mean, you're perimenopausal. And I was like, what? Back up. I'm not even 40. Like, it was like an insult. I was like, whoa,
yeah,
don't be using those
I would
menopausal
get
words.
that.
And now that I mean, like I said, as soon as I hit 40, I'm like, bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah. But we didn't know, like, we really didn't understand that there were perimenopausal symptoms in our mid 30s and late 30s. I had no idea. But what I was going to get to is as we've started like developing this idea and talking more and more about some of the things that we wanted to talk about, episode topics, things like that, we realized quickly we didn't want this to only be about menopause. Like, we also want this to be about just our experience as sisters in the world who don't live near each other, our experience as women in middle age, in our careers. Raising kids is weird when you're raising teenagers. No one claps for you when your teenagers do
No,
things like have their driver's license for a whole year and didn't get a ticket. Like, no one's like, oh my God, you should applaud that. But when your kid learns how to tie their shoe at 4, everybody's clapping. So,
yes.
like, the lack of support when you're raising
Well,
these older kids.
and our priority is still our kids are first.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like that people look at that differently. When
Yeah.
you have little kids, and especially like you only have two, I have one. When I say like, oh, well, like that's the first that, when people tell me about yourself, well, I'm a mom. I have a 17-year-old son, and they're like, oh, so he's almost, yeah, so you're almost done with that. No, no, I don't think I get to be done. I don't,
Yeah.
but
I
it's
mean,
not
my 25-year-old lives at home. So
right.
we're not done when they're 17. And I mean, to clarify, she graduated college. She moved into the same town that I live in, and she's got a job, a really good job with using her degree. And it
I
made
mean, she's
sense for her to live in
honestly,
a house.
she's like
Yeah.
a a parenting poster. Honestly, like
Well, some days more than others. But I mean, it made sense for her to live with me and to save some money, pay off the student loan. I travel a lot for work, so I'm not even here half the time. But like, I'm still parenting my 25-year-old. Not all the time. Sometimes we're roommates, but sometimes we're not.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really interesting, like, navigating, like, everyone who came before us raised teenagers also and raised young adults, because most of us aren't done when the kids are young adults. But there's just like the support for that is so different than it was when we were raising little ones, or even like during pregnancy. Like, during pregnancy, everyone has advice for you. Everyone tells you how to do it, and then, like,
Well, and
all of
when
a
your
sudden you
kids
got.
are little, it's well, what everything that you're doing is
Mhm.
expected to revolve around them.
Yeah,
What do you have going on this weekend? Does he have soccer? Does he
right.
Lucille was in a play,
Right.
whatever. When they're younger, it's accepted. But then, when I say to people like, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to do this weekend because I'm not sure what my kid is going to do and I'm going to try and do something with them. They're like, oh, people think it's like a special occasion. Is it his birthday?
Yeah.
No, I just
No.
actually like my child.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, one of the things that we've talked a lot about and that we wanted to pull into the podcast is just this kind of like in betweenness in life. Like, being middle, like, I get why there's a whole, shtick about a midlife crisis, because, we're raising these people that are people now and they have their own choices, but we're still raising them. Our careers are we're not at the end. Like, I'm not at the finish line of my career, but I'm no longer in the beginning either. And so I'm in this weird place where I'm like, is there a promotion available for what I'm doing? What am I doing? How am I saving well for retirement? Because it's not that far away, but also it still feels like a distant dream. And
well,
we
and you
talked
and I
through
also
the, like.
have in our careers, because both of us came to our careers later in life. Um, I don't know about you, but I mean, I'm like, well, good thing that they don't think that 24-year-old that's applying for the charge nurse position that I am is going to stick around for long because
Yeah.
but I mean, why would you pick me over someone who has 20 more years in them? I mean, I
Right.
think both of us also in
Right.
our careers like have this where, yeah, like there is some room for growth, but also like, you know, if I'm not running the company by now, probably I'm not on that track.
Right. Right. Because we did both come to our careers late, which makes us unique with a lot of our peers. I would compare us to people who did a second career. that would
Yes.
align more with what we did. I mean, in my case, I got married really young. I had the kids, and then I ended up divorced, and so I had to figure out how to get through college. In your case, you had Michael, and then we're like, well, I got to
Figured it.
do
Yeah.
something more.
I mean, I was
Yeah.
just pretty much floating around like a,
Hmm.
I don't know, paper bag in the wind until then.
Yeah.
Just kind of whatever job would pay my bills for that month. And
Right.
then had a kid and was like, oh, I guess I better figure this stuff out, you know?
Yeah. I agree. And I do think I want to mention that while Karen and I are really focused on being parents, we are single parents. We both, neither of us has a partner or even a parent that is involved in our
We're,
kids'
but
lives.
how I say it, I say I'm a sole parent. I don't say I'm a
Yeah,
single parent as in I'm not married. I'm like, no, I'm the sole parent. I'm
yeah,
the only
that's a good.
parent. Yes.
But we
And both
also,
of us, we're the only parents that
yeah,
our kids have.
yes. But we also have two other siblings who both have chosen not to have kids for different reasons. And
Hmm.
so we like fully respect that not everybody is in our situation with kids. You know, our brother is married and has no children, and our sister is single and has no children. And they both live different lives than we do. But honestly, Karen and I don't live similar lives either. So, um, the conversation is not always going to be centered around having kids. It will be centered around just like the choices that we make as adults in middle life.
Right. Because everyone does. I mean, you were married and had kids in a marriage, and I was not at all.
Right.
And I think that that's important. What we want to talk about is not just women and parenting, and we just want to talk about people and the people experience.
I think
Um,
so. Yeah. Like, I don't really know that we think that we're so much more unique than anyone else. We just are willing to talk about it. I think,
oh, I
I
totally
don't think
agree
that
with
we
that. I have said the older I get, the more I'm like, I really am just a basic bitch. When I watch
yeah.
stuff like reels and TikToks that talk about like, do you know Gen X? Da 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 da. And I'm like, they do the put your finger down challenge. I get all of them. And I like, as much as we're like, oh, we're all unique and whatever. And you and I are great examples because like we share the same DNA, full-blooded sisters, same mom, same dad. Um, we
Raised in the same house with both of them.
Yes, raised under very similar circumstances. We're close in age, so it's not like, our younger siblings, especially the youngest, she doesn't remember some of the financial struggles and stuff. We do though, but we still are we look different, we act different, we are so very different, but so very the same.
Yeah. 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 And I think, you know, like I said, it's just I agree. We don't really think that we have a unique story. We think it's unique enough that it's worth talking about. Um, but we're just willing to talk about it. And the biggest thing is like I don't live where my family lives. I haven't lived where my family lives in a really long time. We were the two that are the closest in age. I'm number one and number two in our family. And our experience is more shared than the experience of our younger two siblings. There was a little gap between two and three. And so I think this is a great like I wanted to do this as a way to continue to have conversation with you and to continue to be close with you. Sometimes, we talk all the time, sometimes 2, 3 times a day. And then there are weeks or months where we don't
Right.
talk a whole lot because of life. And so this was a really good way to just like maintain the relationship, monitor each other, a little accountability between the two of us. Like, hey, we haven't done an episode for a while. We got to get on the phone and do it. And so I think this was a good opportunity for us to just stay. I mean, not that we can't stay connected on our own, but to stay connected in a different platform.
Yeah. Well, and putting it on a different platform also for me puts it like and a different thing. It's not just I like, oh, I need to call my sister to vent to her or whatever. It's like we have a task to do. And I love those little dopamine hits that are like, check, did it. So, and this is
Yep.
also this is a good thing for me. I have so many mental health struggles and have honestly for as long as I can remember. I mean, literally back to grade school and like junior high. And you are very consistently the person that, and even if we aren't talking, I still can always call you. And Jennifer is my person that helps me see kind of the real, like the truth, even if it's the ugly truth. She can say stuff to
Yeah.
me, like she can say to me sometimes, like, Karen, do you think you're manic right now? I don't think there's anyone else in my life that could say that to me and not have me be like,
Yeah.
what? But when you say it, I'm like, well, maybe. Yeah. That, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
So we
also,
have,
we are going to bring a lot of that into this as well. Like there will be times when I might be recording. I mean, now I'm sitting up in my bed, but there's, and that is something that we want to also, with everything else, like we just want to normalize some of these conversations. Like it's okay to say I'm not okay. And one of the things that that I struggle with is like with perimenopause, some of the physical symptoms, I'm like, okay, so I'm so tired. And I'm not the type of person that can lay in bed all day and just be like, oh, I'm so tired. Because if I start acting like I'm depressed, I will start feeling like I'm depressed.
exactly. Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, just everything about that, we just want to share
Hmm.
these conversations and be a part of it. We hope other
Yeah.
people chime in and, tell us your weird, crazy symptoms, please.
Yeah.
If
Exactly. Like,
Jennifer
please
had,
make us feel more normal.
I know, yes. Um, so this is just, we're kind of letting the world in. When we first were kicking this around and telling people, and I would say, I remember going into the job I was working at that time, and I was like, my sister and I are going to do a podcast. And they're like, what's it about? I was like, oh, my sister wants to like talk about like, women and healthcare and like have a way for us to stay connected. And I'm just like, dude, we are so fascinating. People are so lucky they get to hear us. Like, we're so entertaining.
Dad, when I told Dad that we were going to do this, he was literally like, well, you guys do think you're really funny. Like, that's because we are, Dad.
Yeah. Do
And
you remember?
just side note, if you know our dad, that's really hilarious. He
Yeah.
said,
Do you remember if I ever turned the ringer on my phone? Do you remember the text tone that I gave you years ago?
no.
It's Spock from Star Trek, and all he says is fascinating. And I was like, and when I tell people, I wouldn't, okay, I would be like, they'll go, oh, who's that? I'm like, oh, it's my sister, because everything we talk about is fucking fascinating. So that's how I feel our conversations are.
That's funny. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So we really hope that you guys become part of this conversation with us. Tell us what else you want to talk about. I mean, again, I feel like we are very typical of our generation, how we were raised, all of that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're
I
on all social media stuff as My Sister is a Karen, except for X, which is My Sister's a Karen. Um, we have TikTok, and we also have email, my sister is a Karen @gmail.com. Please feel free to email, comment, subscribe if you're watching it on YouTube, whatever.
mm-hmm. And let us know what you want to hear us talk about, because I don't think there's going to be much that's going to be off limits. So we're pretty open.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of going to be our thing is we're going to be very authentic. So if it's also if it's something that we're not familiar with, we'll try and learn, so that we can do some justice. But yeah,
Yeah.
we're pretty
Or maybe we'll make
shameless.
some
Like,
shit up. So.
yeah, that's about. So
No,
we
we
hope you
won't
will.
do that because we don't want to spread misinformation. We actually won't do that, but we may joke about doing it.
I mean, I'm a terrible liar. I can't do it. So
No, she could never do it. She could never.
no. And you wouldn't be able to keep a straight face while doing it with me, anyways.
No, no.
So. All
Okay,
right,
so
guys. Well, join us for our next episode, which we are going to talk in depth. I know you're dying to hear all about our eyelash struggles because that's one of the things no one has talked about, and someone needs to. Okay.
exactly.
All right. Talk to you later, Jen. Love you.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Bye.